Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hope you guys are having a great day. It is a morning for you guys because I am currently recording this episode of Hockey Talk with TG podcast on a Sunday, which, of course, yesterday at 9:30 p.m. So it's currently a morning for you guys. It's currently night for me because, like I said, I'm recording this on a Sunday at 9:30 p.m. So, but hopefully you guys are having a great day nonetheless. So there was no episode of Hockey Talk TG podcast last week. As you read my note on the community tab on the Hockey Talk TG podcast YouTube channel, I said there was no episode. Of course, I got a haircut appointment, fresh cut right there. If you're watching this on YouTube, but we are back with another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG. And of course, last week we lost tremendous sports broadcaster Bob Uecker, and so I just wanted to express my condolences to Bob Uecker. Of course, he was nicknamed Mr. Baseball for any of you guys that did not know that. He played in the MLB from 1962 to 1967. Of course, I looked this part up. As a catcher for the Milwaukee Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Philadelphia Phillies, and Atlanta Braves. And, of course, this was another note I saw on ESPN. And he was the longtime radio announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers. He held the role since 1971. He was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2001 for his legendary broadcasting career. Of course, he was the Milwaukee Brewers play-by-play radio announcer. So if you're a Brewers fan, you know what I'm talking about. And he not only was the Brewers play-by-play radio announcer, and not only did he play in the MLB, but he was also an actor. So of course he played in movies like Major League, and he played in TV shows like Mr. Belvedere. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I'm terribly sorry, but hopefully I did pronounce that right. So Major League was the movie he played in, and Mr. Belvedere was the TV show that he played in. And he was also in commercials as well. You guys may know that he was in Miller Lite commercials. Of course, the drink Miller Lite. And he was just known for his humorous style. So he was a funny guy and a great guy to be around. And, of course, I'm pretty sure that you Brewers fans enjoyed listening to him for play-by-play radio. He was great on the radio. And, yeah, I just wanted to express my condolences to his friends and family. Obviously, that was a tough time, shock to happen. He passed away at age 90 years old. 90 years old. That is a blessing to live that long. At age 90 years old. 90 years old. So he certainly had a great career in the MLB. Certainly had a great career in the booth for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he will be dearly missed. He'll be dearly missed, and my heart and condolences go out to his family, friends, and anyone else who is affected by this passing. And my heart also goes out to the Milwaukee Brewers fans of Milwaukee. I've been to Milwaukee before. It is a great city. The fans are obviously electric down there in downtown Milwaukee. I went to the Brewers Stadium before, and it's certainly unreal down in downtown Milwaukee. It was like right after the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship against the Phoenix Suns. I went to downtown Milwaukee, and it was just amazing down there. Best time of my life. So it's certainly a great place to go to. Certainly a great place to catch Brewers games. So, yeah, but Bob Uecker, best radio, not just best radio play-by-play announcer in baseball, but also he was the best radio announcer in sports history. And he was also, as you guys know, for hockey commercials, he was in Milwaukee Admirals commercials for hockey as well. So he was all over the place, really. That's how I can describe it to you guys. He was all over the place, and he will be dearly missed. And once again, my condolences go out to his friends, family, all the Brewers fans in Milwaukee, and anyone else affected by this tragedy. Okay, so Monday, January 20th, Martin Luther King Day. So, of course, this is an addition. Martin Luther King Day, of course, great day. And remembering this day, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, wanted all of us to be equal no matter the color of our skin. And I think without his speech, I don't know where we would be today. So, of course, honoring the day of Martin Luther King and his iconic I Have a Dream speech on this day. So just to keep that in mind. But we're going to go ahead and get into the NHL news for today. So last week, the Red Wings and Blue Jackets revealed their Stadium Series jerseys. Excuse me, I almost pronounced that wrong. But they revealed their Stadium Series jerseys. Of course, the NHL Stadium Series will take place on March 1st of 2025 at the iconic Ohio Stadium, which is home to the Ohio State's Buckeyes football team. And, of course, I got to admit, these are nice jerseys. These are nice jerseys. I saw the jerseys last week when they came out, and they had a lot of style. So, of course, for the Blue Jackets one, their jersey pays tribute to Ohio's rich military history. Of course, I'm guessing Ohio was a military state. What? And the dark blue jersey features the prominent cannon logo, of course, which is used at the Blue Jackets games. And it also includes the military-inspired chevron striping in silver and red colors. And for the Red Wings ones, they have the iconic red and white color scheme. Of course, that's the colors of Detroit. And of course, the uniform also features Hockey Town because that's Detroit's nickname, right on the right pants leg. And of course, both teams have, let's see, what am I trying to say? They have a lot of detail in their jerseys. So like the Blue Jackets jersey displays captain and alternate captain letters surrounded by an outline of the Ohio State or the Buckeye leaf on the jersey. And this will also be the first outdoor game for the Blue Jackets. They have never ever played in an outdoor game in franchise history, so this will be the first one. For the Red Wings, it will be their fifth outdoor game in franchise history. They are 2-0-2 in their previous 4 outdoor games. This is the first outdoor game for the Red Wings since 2017, which was a 5-4 overtime win against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 2017 NHL Centennial Classic. So just to wrap up those thoughts, I really do like the jerseys. I like the color scheme. Certainly add a lot of style, add a lot of flair to it, and can't wait to see these threads for the NHL Stadium Series. This should be a great NHL Stadium Series. And I also did see a video last week of it was, what am I trying to say? I think it was University of Michigan players opening up their jerseys, and for them to be known that it was actually a Detroit Red Wings jersey, I think. Wait, no, it was like Columbia. I think it was, I don't know what it was, but there was a video last week. I think the Red Wings and Blue Jackets posted it on their Instagram. I'm sorry if I'm getting you guys all confused for the first start of this, but yeah, just to wrap up my thoughts, great jerseys, add a lot of style, add a lot of flair, and I can't wait to see the Blue Jackets and Red Wings rock these jerseys come the 2025 NHL Stadium Series at Ohio Stadium. All right, so this past weekend, Hockey Day in Canada was celebrated Saturday, and of course, there was 4 games for Hockey Day in Canada, all 7 Canadian teams in action, but fans have wanted to know, especially Americans like myself, What is Hockey Day in Canada and why is it celebrated? So Hockey Day in Canada, of course, I looked this up, by the way, just to get a little facts for you guys, especially to people who may not know what this is, especially Americans, because I'm pretty sure you Canadians know what it is, because hence the name Hockey Day in Canada. But anyway, Hockey Day in Canada first started in 2000 and it is a annual celebration of the greatest sport in the world, hockey, bringing together communities across the nation to honor Canada's rich hockey heritage. Of course, you guys may know Canada is the birthplace of hockey. So a lot of hockey is popular down there. Birthplace of hockey, the home of hockey, and so that's why they celebrate this day. The 25th anniversary of this event was held on January 18, 2025, so this past weekend in Canmore, Alberta. So each year, every country hosted. So last year's, I don't know who hosted last year, but each country, not each country, each city in Canada hosts the event. So this year was Canmore, and last year I think this was in Vancouver. I'm not 100% sure. And this event includes live segments from various communities across Canada, and it also highlights the sport's role in Canadian culture, and it celebrates its history and the value it promotes. So it's such an iconic day in Canada, and it certainly draws Canadians' attention to the day. It's like like I said before, a celebration. So it's like an iconic day. I don't know if they have it every year on January 18th or not, but yeah, just an iconic day. And then each city hosts it every year. And it was certainly a great day. It was a lot of great Canadian games played on this day, starting with the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators. So, of course, Senators came back and won 6-5 in the shootout. So, of course, they overcame a 2-goal deficit in the third period. Josh Norris tied the game up with 12 seconds remaining in regulation. And then Tim Stützle scored the only goal in the shootout, securing the win for Ottawa. But David Pastrnak led the way with a goal and 2 assists for a 3-point night. And Nick Jensen and Tim Stützle each contributed a goal and assist for a 2-point night. And Levi Merlainen stopped 25 of 28 shots faced the net. He stopped all 3 shootout attempts in the game. And of course, the Senators were in action today against New Jersey. Of course, like I said, I am recording this on a Sunday, and this will be out Monday. But the Senators were in action today against the New Jersey Devils, and they won 3-1 against the Devils. So they sweep their back-to-back weekend games. And, of course, the Senators currently in the wild card spot after their win over the New Jersey Devils and a comeback win over the Boston Bruins on Saturday. Excuse me if I'm getting my words mixed up. Next game, Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens. This is a historic rivalry, as you guys all know. Maple Leafs came back, scored 7 unanswered goals to win 7-3 against Montreal. So they dominated offensively in this one, and their top lines were highly effective in this one. First and second line, just unreal. And then Joseph Wall, he made 32 saves on 35 shots, faced the net for his 16th win of the season. And the special teams really came into play in this one. The Maple Leafs capitalized on their power play opportunities. They also got a shorthanded goal from their team captain, Austin Matthews. And Toronto improved to 29-16-2 with the win. Another game, Calgary Flames taking on the Winnipeg Jets. So the Flames held off the Jets for the 3-1 win. And the Flames had a strong start in this one. They got the lead in the first period. And the defense was unreal in this one, despite them being outshot 39-22. So they limited Winnipeg's scoring chances throughout the game. And Dustin Wolf, who probably might be in the Calder Trophy situation, he made 38 saves in the win. And just like Toronto's special teams in their game against Montreal, Calgary's special teams certainly came into play. They went 1 for 2 on the power play. Of course, they got a power play goal from Andrei Kuzmenko, and they went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill as well. And this was a physical matchup. Believe it or not, physical matchup in this game. Calgary had 25 hits in this game, and Winnipeg had 11 hits in this game. And the win improved Calgary's record to 22, 16-7 of the season, and are in second place for a wild card spot in the Western Conference. In the last game for Hockey Day in Canada on Saturday, Oilers and Canucks. So, of course, we talked about the Canucks' inconsistent struggles, JT Miller's struggles for the team, but the Canucks bounced back from their 5-1 loss to LA on Thursday. I believe that game was on a Thursday, and they win 3-2 against the Edmonton Oilers, the team that knocked them out of the second round of Stanley Cup playoffs from last season. They came back and won that game. It was a tight contest, though. But Quinn Hughes came in clutch, scoring the game-winning goal. He actually had a 2-goal game in this one, both of which were power play goals, and JT Miller assisted on both of them. And the Canucks were, 2 for 4 on the power play. Quinn Hughes getting both of the power play goals. But special teams really worked for Vancouver in this one, and they improved to 20, 15, and 10 in the season. They are 1 point out of a playoff spot, but I believe there's still hope for this Vancouver Canucks team to get into a playoff spot, so not counting them out yet. They still have a long season to go, so don't count out the Canucks just yet. And speaking of which, last week I did a edition or a segment on here naming my top 5 Eastern Conference teams that have a chance of making the Stanley Cup playoffs, that are competing for a wild card spot, because it is tight in the Eastern Conference. And it's the same thing for the Western Conference. Tight race to get into a wild card spot in the Western Conference. And so I named my top 5 teams that will be in the playoffs, that are, competing for that Western Conference playoff spot. So number 1, the Calgary Flames. So last season they didn't make the playoffs. This season they might have a possible chance at making the playoffs. Like I said, they're coming off of a 3-1 win over the Winnipeg Jets on Hockey Day in Canada. They're sitting 4th place in the Pacific Division with a 22-16-7 record with 51 points. They ended their 4-game road trip 2-2-0. Both losses were against the St. Louis Blues during their 4-game road trip. They got wins over Chicago and Winnipeg, 2 Central Division teams right there. Currently sitting second place in the wildcard spot for the Calgary Flames, but Jonathan Huberdeau, Nazem Kadri, Mackenzie Weegar continue to lead the way. In playoff odds, according to Money Puck, the Flames have a 48.3% chance of making the playoffs, but I believe it's still possible for this Calgary team to turn it around and be a playoff team. All right, number 2, Vancouver Canucks. So, of course, the Canucks, they're coming off of a 3-2 win over their Pacific Division rival, Edmonton Oilers, on Hockey Day in Canada. They are 20, 15, and 10 in the season with 50 points. And like I said, we talked about the inconsistency issues for this Canucks team. But I also said there's still hope for the Canucks to, turn it around, ignore all the media, and get back into a playoff spot, because you got to remember, this is the team that won the Western Conference last season, and this season they started off on not so much of a good note, more of an ugly note that they started off from, but there's still hope for the Canucks to turn it around, and that was a big time win over the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday. Playoff odds, they have a 14% chance of making the Stanley Cup playoffs, but I believe there's still hope for this Vancouver Canucks team to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So please don't throw a riot, Vancouver fans. This isn't 2011. Please don't throw a riot. There's still hope for you guys to turn it around and be a playoff team. Number 3, St. Louis Blues. It pains me to say this because of how much I hate the St. Louis Blues, because as you guys don't know, I'm a Blackhawks fan, and the Blackhawks and Blues have a long history of rivalry, so it kind of pains me to say this, and I'm trying to fight the urge, but I feel like the St. Louis Blues can be a playoff team this year. They are sitting 5th place in the Central Division with a 22-21-4 record with 48 points. They are coming off of a 4-2 loss to the Utah Hockey Club on Saturday, which ended their winning streak right there because I think they won 2 in a row coming into that one. And they're outside of a wild card spot, but I believe the Blues have the team to at least get into a wild card spot to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Excuse me. They have the team to be in a wild card spot, at least a wild card spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And of course, I got this off Money Puck. 36.8% chance of making the playoffs. If you round that, that'll be 37% chance of making the Stanley Cup playoffs for the St. Louis Blues. So, like I said, it's only the second half of the 2024-25 NHL season, and the Blues can, possibly turn around and be a playoff team. Number 4, Utah Hockey Club. I said this at the start of the season. I think in my bold predictions video, I said at the start of the season that Utah Hockey Club will make the playoffs in their first season. I believe they still can, despite their 19-19-7 record, and they are currently 6th place in the Central Division. But I believe that this Utah Hockey Club team can be a playoff team. And Clayton Keller's leading the way for Utah with a goal, 3 assists for a 4-point night in their 4-2 win. He is the team captain for Utah Hockey Club. So, no doubt in mind that he's one of their star players besides Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther. Playoff odds, 21.1% chance of making the playoffs. So, of course, that's 21% chance. You round it, obviously. But I believe there's still time. It's only the second half. Utah's going to have a tough challenge facing against tough teams for some of their games, but I believe they can turn around and make the Stanley Cup playoffs. All right, and the last team in the Western Conference that I feel like can make the Stanley Cup playoffs this season. I know you guys are going to laugh at me for saying this. I know I'm going to get some chirps in the comments, but the Nashville Predators. So, of course, the Predators, 7th in the Central Division, almost last in the league, 32 points. So, the Predators start off the season on a tough note. We didn't expect them to start out this way at first, especially with the big additions of Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea and Scott Wedgwood before they traded him to Colorado. But, of course, they proved us wrong. We didn't think they were going to have the start that they should have had and started off on a bad note. But I think there's still time for the Predators to turn this season around. I think they can pull off what the St. Louis Blues did in 2019. I'm not saying that they'll go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, win the Stanley Cup, but I'm saying that they can at least be in a playoff spot in a wild card. There's still time for them to turn this season around, and I think 2025 is their year to turn their horrendous start to the season around. But they only played like 45 games this season. They're coming off a 6-2 win over the Minnesota Wild on Saturday. They won 3 in a row. They won against Vegas Tuesday 5-3. They beat the Blackhawks in a shootout, unfortunately, 2-1. And then they won 6-2 against the Minnesota Wild on Saturday. So they won 3 in a row. Just need to build on that winning streak. I think the next game is against San Jose on Tuesday. So there's still time for the Predators team to turn around and make the Stanley Cup playoffs. They only played 45 games this season. And the offensive production has been below league average. They're 31st in the league for goals for average with 2.53. So the offense hasn't been doing nothing that much, and the defensive struggles. They're 14th in the league for goals against average with 3.09. Playoff odds, 5.4% chance of making the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, yes, I know it's crazy to say that the Predators will make the playoffs considering the season that they had. Trust me, I know, I understand. I know you guys are going to laugh and chirp at me down in the comments. I get that. I believe that there's still hope for this team to turn it around and make the Stanley Cup playoffs. There still is time. I believe that they can turn it around. I believe 2025 is their year, and they are starting to look, they won 3 in a row. The next game is against San Jose. That should be somewhat of an easy win. I think the Sharks are over the Predators in the league so far. I'm not 100% sure, but that should be an easy win for Nashville. I know it's going to take us hill to climb for the Predators to turn the season around, but I believe it's possible, so we'll just have to see. All right, NHL games on the slate for today. So there's only 9 games on the slate. Starting with the San Jose Sharks taking on the Boston Bruins at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. First of 2 meetings this season. They'll face each other again on March 22nd in San Jose. And then we got the Minnesota Wild taking on the Colorado Avalanche at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Second of 4 meets this season between the two teams. Colorado won the first meet in Minnesota on January 9th by a final score of 6-1. They will meet again on February 28th in Denver and on March 11th in St. Paul. And then we got the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Seattle Kraken at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Last meeting of the season between the two teams, and these two teams didn't play too long ago, as Seattle won the first meet back in Buffalo by a final score of 6-2. So after the Sabres scored the first 2 goals of the game, Seattle scored 6 unanswered and won 6-2 in that one. So we'll see if the Sabres can get some revenge on the Kraken for beating them out in their home barn. All right, then the other game, St. Louis Blues taking on the VGK Vegas Golden Knights at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. First meeting since October 11th between the two teams, which Vegas won 4-3 at home at T-Mobile Arena. They will meet again 3 days later in St. Louis on January 23rd. Then we got the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. This will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents, and this will air on Amazon Prime for Canada residents as well. 34 meetings this season between the two teams. Toronto won the first 2 meets. They won 5-2 back at Scotiabank Arena on October 21st, and they won 5-3 in Tampa back on November 30th. They will meet again in Tampa Bay on April 9th. And then we got the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the New York Islanders at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Second of 4 meetings this season between the two teams. Columbus shut them out 2-0 in the first meet back in Columbus, and they will meet again on March 24th on Long Island and on April 17th in Columbus, Ohio. And then we got the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Chicago Blackhawks at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. First of 2 meetings this season between the two teams. They will face each other 10 days later in Carolina after Chicago ends their 4-game homestand against the Minnesota Wild on, I think that will be a Friday-Saturday game. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I will look it up after this, obviously, because I do cover the Chicago Blackhawks. But I know they play against Tampa on Thursday, and I think that will be a Saturday game for Chicago against Minnesota, which Minnesota and Tampa both have had our numbers of late, so it's going to be tough going against them. It's also going to be tough going against Carolina for this game as well. Another game, Winnipeg Jets taking on Utah Hockey Club at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Central Division showdown right here. Second of 4 meetings this season between the two teams. The Jets shut out Utah 3-0 at home on November 5th, and they will meet again on January 24th. They will play 4 days later after they play their game in Utah in Winnipeg, and they will also play each other on April 5th in Salt Lake City. And in the last game of the night, we got the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the LA Kings at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. Last meeting of the season between the two teams. Pittsburgh won 3-2 in OT back in the Steel City on December 17th. Rickard Rakell scored the overtime game-winning goal in that game. And once again, we're thinking about you guys in LA. So to all the people that are in LA, we're thinking about you guys during this tough time. And thank you to the Los Angeles Fire Department for working together and putting out those fires. I know the people in LA have had a tough time of late, and still thinking about you guys down there in LA, and Don't worry. You're going to get through this with prayer, with faith, and hope. Ask God to look over you. Just pray, and everything will be all right. It's going to work out in God's favor, and He's going to protect you. So just need prayer, you need faith, and you need hope. And those are the three things you'll need. And don't worry, you guys will get through this together. And thank you again to the Los Angeles Fire Department for doing everything that you can to put out those fires and making sure the people of LA safe. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. I know I started off the podcast on I know I am recording this on a Sunday, and this will come out on Monday. So that was kind of the confusing part. I got to remember I'm doing this on a Sunday and not on a Monday. So yeah. But anyway, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God first as always. Be blessed. I'll see you guys Wednesday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.